بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. We continue inshallah ta'ala with our series of Wudu, and we came inshallah ta'ala to the wiping of the head. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reference point is always the same ayah we started with, and when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Ma'idah, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق وامسحوا برؤوسكم, and wipe over your heads. Now, linguistically, we ought to pay attention to the wording. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He made reference to the arms and the hands and the feet and the face, He said wash. وَغَسِلُوا فَغْسِلُوا, meaning washing the face, washing the, as we explained, the hands and also the arm all the way to the elbow, as we will inshallah ta'ala come to describe how to wash the feet as well. A reference is to actually washing versus the head. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala referred to the head, He says وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ, and wipe over your heads. Now, linguistically again, when you wipe over the head, if I were to ask you to describe what I'm doing right now, I'm wiping over my head. If I ask you to describe this, what am I doing? I'm wiping over the head. So linguistically, it means wiping some of the head in any way you want to. It will still linguistically suffice the fact that you wiped over the head. However, being that this is an act of worship, our reference point is the textbook given to us by Rasulullah ﷺ, as we always say. And in that textbook, the Prophet ﷺ wiped over his head with both of his hands, not just one, first of all, both hands, and not just some of the head, but all of the head. He started ﷺ from where the hair grows, meaning right above the forehead. And then he went all the way back till the back of his neck, to where the hair ends in the back of the neck. And the neck is not included. There is a fabricated hadith that says that if you were to wash the back of your neck, it will be spared from the fire. This is a fabricated hadith. This is why you will find people who follow already, or rather take this hadith as a guidance. You find them wiping over their head, the back of their neck, as they are performing wudu, when this is not, in fact, part of performing the wudu. That said, when you wipe over the head and you go all the way to back, you bring it forth, come back again to where you started. That is how the Prophet ﷺ did it, and that's how the language of the ayah is not going to be confusing, because if you were to follow it just what it means linguistically, as I gave example, any way you want to do it, some of the head will suffice linguistically. The right side of the head or left side of the head suffice as well, because for as long as you wipe over your head, then that suffice. Fact of the matter is, the Prophet ﷺ is a reference point in this regard. A couple things also to point out. When it comes to wiping over the head, men and women are equal in this regard, because the Prophet ﷺ said, النساء شقائق الرجال, that women are equal to men. This is when it comes to implementing the commands, unless there is an exception to where it says this is exclusive to men, this is exclusive to women. The general rule is the women are equal to men when it comes to implementing all of the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all of the aspects of the religion. Also in this regard is, when you wipe over the head, this is the area where most or so many who are concerned about their hair, they try to find a way to where they don't mess up their hairdo. And therefore, the concern switched in their intention from it being an act of worship to the concern about their hair. And this is very, very dangerous, at least in this regard. Because now, as the Prophet ﷺ says, the intentions is what would validate your action. Every single intention is attached. It has a DNA, as I always use that term. That DNA is the intention you attach to it. And being that your intention shifted and switched straight from it being, meaning that whole act, the process of actions you've been doing up to wiping over the head, it switched automatically to you being concerned about your hair more than it is the act in of itself. So it's very, very important that we pay attention to this. Another thing is also, when it comes to women, most times because of the long hair, they say, well, is it okay if I just do some of it? We're back again to the same thing. People will come up with so many, they have so many concerns in their head about how to do the wiping of the head. But in fact of the matter is, wipe over your head the whole way from the front to where the hair grows in the back of your neck and come back. For women who have long hair, still suffice the upper part of your hair that goes all the way, follow it. And Ibn Abi Zayd al-Qayrawani, in his book Al-Risala, pointed out a very particular and acute point in this regard. And he said, for those who have long hair, whether men or women, they can actually wipe under, if they have the hair bundled up, they can wipe under that hair that is bundled up around the end of it, where the hair grows in the back of the neck. But in any case, this is how the Prophet ﷺ wiped over the head. Now, the Prophet ﷺ also added the ears. Now, in the ayah, we don't have any reference to the ears. But he said, ﷺ, al-udhunani min al-ra's. The ears are part of the head that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made reference to when it comes to wiping. And this is how the Prophet ﷺ did it. He used his 2 indexes, one for each ear, and he wiped the inside of the ear this way. Wipe over inside, see that? The inside of the ear, you wipe it with the index. As for the outside of the ear, it is wiped with the thumb, this way. So you wipe the inside with the index and the outside with the thumb. This is the way to wipe the ear. There's so many that are used to doing it so many different ways. As long as the wiping of the ear inside and out is done, that suffice. It makes that wudu valid. However, we miss out on the reward, because our end goal, as we said, is for us to always keep in mind that our reference point is the textbook given to us by Rasulullah ﷺ. And every time we stick to it, we are earning more reward than if we were to do it our own way, even in those particular things, inshaAllah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the last thing I wanted to point out, it has to do with the difference in the use of words. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made reference, as I said in the beginning, washing versus wiping over. The wiping over, it only entails, and it means having the hands wet. In other words, when you wipe over your head and also wiping the ears, wiping over the ears inside and out, that your hands ought to be wet. If, for instance, after you finish washing your arm all the way to the elbow and your hands are still wet, you can continue with that wet hands and wipe over your head and also your ears, because the idea is just for your hands to be wet, because you do not wash your head during wudu, you rather wipe over it with wet hands. Now, if they're not wet, then wet them. Just wet your hands with a little bit of water, meaning you get water and you don't carry the water to your head or your ears, but you'd rather drop that water, shake your hands, and then with wet hands. The idea is for wet hands. If they are wet, fine. If they're not, you wet them. Second thing is in regards to washing, this is another thing to be careful with. So many, they would reverse it instead. Meaning when it comes to washing their face, they just wet their hand and then they wipe over their face. This is wiping over your face, not washing. Because the Prophet ﷺ meticulously made sure that the water gets to the skin of your face. So much so that for those who have thick beard, he used to, ﷺ, after he finishes washing his face, he would get water in the palm of his hand and he would go under his beard and make sure that water gets in there. Why? Because when you wash over, the water, of course, is going to flow over the surface of your face, down your beard, but the bottom of your chin is not going to reach any water. This is why the Prophet ﷺ would stick his fingers throughout. Takhleel al-lihya, it's called. And that is for you to run your fingers through your beard so that the water reaches. All of this is to make the point that water needs to be included in washing the face as well as also the arm. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst those who, when they hear the speech, they follow the best of it. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyina Muhammad. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.